Hey, welcome back. Let me zoom in a little bit here. It's really weird because when I use my phone, I can line it all up so everything's perfect, and then as soon as I start to record, the phone zooms in a little bit while it records video, so I don't understand that. So the picture I see when I start recording is not the picture I have when it starts recording. So here we are at the Confederate second turn, the 6:15 turn, and wow, what a mess they have created. So I'll go through this because a ton happened, as you can see. If you've watched it right after the last video, the Confederates were lined up here just on the other side of the ridge, getting ready to come across. Haven't really played this much. This is the first time. So I'm trying to figure out, what's the best way. The Union sat behind this ridge line thinking they'd force the Confederates to come up and engage them and they'd get some first volleys. The Union first volley rolls were pathetic at best, negligible at worst, where they didn't do anything. The other thing is, I didn't really look that close at it or, didn't understand everything, but most of these Barksdale regiments are A's. And C is like the best one over here, pretty much. This guy here, let's take a look here. He did have a leader on him, so that -4 helped. He's also a B, but he did take some losses, but then he bloodlusted. But you can see there's a cowardly legs under this, a cowardly legs. So basically I hit with the 18th, I started out with the 17th Mississippi. It blew through the 1st regiment here, which was the 73rd New York, which ran off the board. I couldn't find anywhere in the rules what it says, but it says if you're unable to continue retreating, you're destroyed. So I assume the edge of the board would be, you'd be destroyed. You just run off the board and you're gone. Then the 72nd New York was sitting here. The 73rd was a B rank, but they just rolled, I think I rolled a box cars on there. So they had to retreat 6 heck. It was just brutal. So they ran off the board. Then the 72nd New York got slammed into with their wonderful D rating. And they could keep moving straight forward as they kept charging. They made their closing rolls because with an A, it's everything but a 1. They ended up losing 1 strength point. I think 1 closing roll did damage to them. Other than that, the 17th Mississippi is pretty much the regiment of the game so far. I mean, they just destroyed the Excelsior Brigade. Then we had similar stuff happen over here. The 18th Mississippi was shoving back on the 70th New York, but they were able to hold the 71st New York was up here. They had to basically rout. Now I don't remember, to be honest with you. It's like just a ton happened in this little board. It was just amazing. No, I think they were the only ones there. I'm trying to figure out. Oh, okay. I know where I'm confused. I'll tell you where this happened later. Okay. So they kind of held that up. Then Barksdale himself was on this attack. There were some chances for some leader casualties. And Humphreys held the line, and they bloodlusted. So next turn, we're going to see if they can do some damage. And see what they can do. Then I used McLaws, and he charged into the 71st New York and Brewster right here. He had to come in at an angle, though, because there was another unit here at the time, and if I would have went here, then you're locked. So I had to drift around, turn, come this way, and when you charge, you can only move straight forward. You can't adjust or anything. So I moved into the hex they took, but again, the 71st New York got blown away, and they routed off the board. So it wasn't looking good at all. So actually, that is not completely true. I think I went this way thinking that was a retreat path. They had to retreat 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they'd still go off the thing. So now, I don't know if you have to go straight back. You have to go rearward, and you you can't cut back, so I think you can go like this and avoid units if there's an opening. I don't think you have to go straight back. So yeah, so they were blown off the board, and this whole flank, I mean, Barksdale is looking really good with very few casualties. I think each of his regiments lost 1 strength point, and they took out, you know, what do we got here? 250 men, 300 men, 350 guys, all gone in a leader. So I assume he'll come back during the leader phase as a replacement somewhere, but that's going to be little to no good. Then the artillery fire didn't do anything. There was some morale checks. There was no losses. We were shelling the left side of the line. And then I had Woffard close up here on these two and fire. Both closing volleys because they missed. So I was kind of afraid of closing... I'm sorry, what do they call it? I don't think it's closing volley, but it's opening volleys. I was afraid of the opening volleys, like, boy, those are going to really hurt you. They have a 50% chance of knocking out a strength point is all. And when I was up here with these guys here with the strength that they're at, with the 5, stuff like that, they had a better chance of doing damage. So Wofford fired here, and this 105th Pennsylvania was shaken and fell back. They didn't suffer any losses. Here, these guys bloodlusted. This was Graham. So he bloodlusted. Sickles, risking him, saved the center of the line because with his -2 to help on the morale roll, it kept these guys from falling back. And I mean, on the attack, it was just devastating. They just ripped the whole Union right flank is just devastated. So it's going to be interesting to try to, I would say, if I was playing this as the Confederates, I would consider this is going to be a massive victory the way this is looking over here, despite what happens over here. And if I was playing as the Union, I would be like, wow, I just got smoked big time, because the whole objective is to get Barksdale off between these, you know, 2 spots. But basically what I learned is if you have A and B regiments closing with C and D regiments, that's going to get ugly in charges. And the charges didn't do so much damage. I mean, there was some losses and stuff from the charges, and on a bigger map, these units would still be here and here. But they would be, one was routed. One of these was routed anyway, so he was routed. Another one was disorganized. I think another one was routed. I mean, it would just be a mess regardless. They wouldn't be gone, but it would be a while before you could get them back into good enough order to stick them in the line. And I mean, it's going to be interesting playing the bigger version, you know, like on the full Battle of Gettysburg, and how you can try to match up brigades and how I'm going to use my brigades in formation. Like, even having these guys with the D in the back, if the front line collapsed, they're borderline useless, honestly. So there's some tactics I'm going to have to figure out there. But so you can see, so we got a couple of bloodlusts out of it that the Union's going to have to try to use to their advantage and do some damage. But we got 4 guys that are and then over here, the 16th Georgia, the very last thing I did, they fire a volley at these dudes, and they inflict damage, and then they roll like horrible. Even with the leader on them, they rolled like an 11. So it ended up being a 9, so they lost a strength point and were shaken and had to fall back 2. So it's just, I forgot, I guess, technically, that would be there. Although my understanding is that comes off at the beginning of any activity phase. So all these will come off. They won't be on there for the Union. This is just during your turn, but just for completeness. I mean, it was a train wreck for a defense. Like, I thought I had a solid defense. In fact, I was looking at it a little bit last night over here, and I was like, I don't think Barksdale's, I mean, he's going to have to just grind to get to here. No, not in this game. If you can smash the line, maybe that's a fluke. But I'm telling you what, whenever I play this game, I'm going to make sure my A and B morale units are up front because, you know, closing is going to be a big deal. Now, the meat and potato of this game is the command phase, right? Where you're rolling to see if Barksdale would fluke stoppage and not attack, right? And there's ways to prevent that, right? You can have reserves and things like that, which give you dice roll modifiers that help. So that's going to be really fun. I can't wait to get to start playing the Battle of Gettysburg on this. I mean, I'm going to finish this because I'm learning a lot, but playing the Battle of Gettysburg is just going to be crazy with all the pieces and the command roles and seeing which leaders understand the orders and which ones don't. So I guess that's it. Not much more to tell you. It was a disaster for the Union. I'm gonna try to do some kind of a counterattack here. I don't think this comes off until the rally phase for, well, that's artillery anyway. So I got 2 artillery pieces here. I got 2 regiments here. One is shaken. This one's bloodlusted. You're gonna have to swing some dudes around, C's and D's. that is not looking great, but we'll see what happens. So we got to do something. We got to slam into them and try to give them as good as we got. Anyway, thanks for watching, and be interesting to see what the Union can do on the next turn. All right, welcome back to the Union turn. You can see there's been a little bit of change. Oops, I forgot to remove one shaken status. So it was looking pretty abysmal for the Union last turn, and it's still not looking great, but it's better than it even looks on here. This will end up coming off, but the 70th New York laid into the 18th Mississippi. That was already, you know, damaged and basically wrecked them. And as they were retreating through the zone of control, and with the retreat result, they lost their last 2 strength points, and so 18th Mississippi was removed. Here, little to nothing happened. Ineffective fire, which was too bad because there's a big opportunity. Here, the 63rd Pennsylvania had swung around to help, and McLaws missed being a casualty by 1. His horse was definitely shot out from under him, and they did 2 damage. So this regiment is 1 strength point away from being wrecked due to this artillery fire. These guys had unlimbered and fired canister. They also went out of ammo. That's what almost killed McLaws. The 63rd Pennsylvania came over here to try to take advantage of that and get them to wreck status and just fire on them, not actually charge them, because of their size and the morale and stuff and the leadership rating. And didn't quite get it. It missed it by a couple points. We bolstered up the line here. I swung the 3rd Maine down here because I was figuring as the Confederate I could just run over here and overrun this HQ. That would cause all of these to go into skedaddle mode, which would be the end of the scenario pretty much, because they all have to go into column and start retreating. I'm not sure how you'd handle that in a small game like this, but to me that would just be auto defeat. You're done. You have to retreat. The HQ would skedaddle way back here on a bigger map, and these guys have to make their way toward that. So I decided I better get even a small regiment, 150 guys, come running over here in this orchard to protect the HQ, because the 17th Mississippi could just turn next turn and walk right into it pretty much. Very ineffective. I tried to charge here. I should have charged this guy, charging with a 3-4 leader. They forced a morale check, did some casualties, but with the -4. It's pretty good for morale, so I should have charged here and tried to break the line. It would have been more effective, but whatever. Live and learn, right? That's why we do it. Basically fired on all these guys, fired to their right a little bit, did a little damage here, bolstered up here, at the beginning of the turn, I had 3 units that were shaken by the north, so they were pretty limited on what I could do to engage. So I basically bolstered the line. We'll be moving to the 6:30 turn here. This can come off, but you know, it looked like it was pretty much a complete destroyed and desolated after that one turn, but with them losing 1 regiment, this one being 1 point away from being broken, it's not a complete overrun like I thought it would be. I mean, technically, if the player would get this one off, that's going to be like 7 or 8 points, I think. 8. So I don't remember if the victory conditions were based on... let's see real quick here what it says. Yeah, strength points. So getting 8 strength points off would be a pretty good victory. There's another. This is a big one, I believe. Yep, 10. So the 2 big boys could still get off. This one's getting beat up. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to play this where one side plays the Confederates, then you switch sides after the 4 turns, and whoever got the most strength points off here wins. Yeah, I don't know. You know, like I said, I thought it was pretty much done. Like I thought, although they can't rally back, that they just got devastated. But, you know, a good shot here, and there went the 18th Mississippi running. And a canister shot when these guys unlimbered and blasted McLaws and took 2 strength points. They're 1 away from being wrecked. I don't see any wreck counters. I looked in the book to see. It'd be nice to have, unless I'm not understanding, it'd be nice to have a way to mark wrecked regiments so that they're clear to see. I mean, I don't think you put them at routed. You know, I don't think you put them in a routed status because they can still shoot and stuff. They just can't engage. There's some penalties for that. But anyway, I thought it went way better than I thought it was gonna. I'd say this is still looking like a pretty good Confederate victory for this player if you were going to play and switch sides. But you still got to get past these guys, and then, you know, there is an opportunity. So, I mean, what do you do? Do you use the 17th Mississippi and go and wreck the 70th New York next turn if possible and try to get more guys off? Or do you know, so there's plenty of things going on in the little scenario, so that's pretty fun. And like I said, I guess it ended up being a little better than I thought, because originally I thought, oh man, they just one charge and the Confederates just devastated the whole, you know, 3 regiments gone from the Excelsior Brigade in 1 turn. Didn't quite. It's looking better than I thought it would. So anyway, that's it. I'll get this video combined with the Confederate turn and put them up, and go from there. If anybody's got any questions, when I do it on Vassal, I'll probably do my whole turn so you can see movement and stuff like that. So it's good for rules and get input from people on rules and stuff. But doing it on here, I'm just doing an after turn report basically. All right, have a good day. Thanks for joining me, and we'll get this one ready to edit it a little bit and get it put up. Thanks.